Amelia Reyes had a face made for confessions. There was something in the softness of her expression, the curve of her lips, the quiet warmth of her eyes that disarmed people. The professors smiled at her a little longer. Strangers told her things they rarely said aloud. But no one really knew her past the surface, not even the people who thought they did. On campus, she played the part of the calm, diligent psychology student. Earbuds in, coffee in hand, sleeves pulled down over her wrists. She earned S. She volunteered at the mental health center. She nodded politely in class. But the moment the day ended and the sky turned that bruised purple of early evening, she became someone else, sharper, lonelier, more alive. She clocked in at Moonlit Cafe 5 nights a week. The cafe sat off a narrow back road surrounded by woods, rustic, dim, intimate. Fairy lights hung over the door. People came there for warmth, but Amelia came for escape. Some nights she watched the steam curl up from the espresso machine and imagined her thoughts fading with it. Her co-workers adored her. Customers flirted, tipped extra. One old woman told her she had a laugh that sounded like it was trying not to cry. None of them knew about Ryan yet. Ryan Chambers had started out charming. He was older, confident. Captain of the rugby team. He made Amelia feel small in a way that felt protective at first, until that feeling started to change shape. The first time he grabbed her wrist too tightly, they were outside a bar. He'd seen her laughing with another guy. His fingers left faint marks on her skin. Later that night, he apologized, holding her face like she was something he couldn't afford to lose. The intensity both frightened and thrilled her. Amelia never told anyone what he whispered. "If you ever lie to me, if you ever leave, I'll lose my mind. Don't make me crazy." She didn't want to make anyone crazy. She just wanted to feel something that didn't turn into fear. Dr. Elliot Parsons taught behavioral psychology. His lectures were always full. He had that kind of midnight calm, deliberate pauses, a low voice that felt like a secret. Amelia sat near the front, always listening too closely. He noticed her from the first month. She asked questions that made him look twice. She stayed after class sometimes, lingering beside his desk, smiling in that shy way that hinted she was thinking of things she wouldn't say. One evening, she dropped off an essay at his office. He was alone, grading papers. The lights were low. "I wasn't sure if you'd still be here," she said. He didn't look up immediately, but when he did, Amelia felt a current run through her spine. His eyes lingered on her just a second too long. "That was a very honest paper," he said. She looked down. "Honesty isn't always good, is it?" "It's real," he murmured. "And real life is more dangerous." Silence stretched between them like a held breath. Nothing happened, not yet. But the air felt charged, like storm clouds gathering slowly. She left the office with her pulse racing and her lips slightly parted like she'd almost said something she shouldn't. A week later, he started emailing her. At first, it was about her work. Then about her thoughts. Then about her. Late at night when the cafe was quiet, she would stand behind the counter and reread his words, biting her lip. "You fascinate me. I've taught for 12 years and I've never met someone who feels like they're already halfway inside my head." She never told Ryan about the emails. He wouldn't understand. It wasn't physical, not yet. It was emotional, intimate, addictive. Sometimes she thought about how wrong it was. Other times she wondered if this was the first time someone really saw her. Amelia wrote in her journal at night, curled under her dorm blanket, headphones in to drown out the world. "He says he feels alive when I speak. He asks what I dream about. Ryan never asks me anything, he just wants to own me." She didn't realize she was being watched. Joanna Parsons had started noticing changes in her husband. Late-night sighs. Texting in the bathroom. A smile she hadn't seen since before their marriage began to fade. She'd seen women flirt with him before, but he'd never been distant. Not like this. One evening, she followed his car after he left campus. He parked across the street from Moonlit Cafe. He sat there for almost an hour, just staring at the entrance. That was the first night she saw Amelia. Through the cafe window, laughing with a customer, wiping foam off her collarbone with the back of her hand. Joanna's jaw clenched. Something twisted in her stomach. She didn't know the girl's name yet, but she already hated her. Ryan came into the cafe unexpectedly one night. Amelia was alone behind the counter. The bell chimed. She froze when she saw him. "Thought I'd pick you up," he said casually, eyes scanning the room too quickly. "You got off early?" "You should have texted," Amelia said gently. "I'm closing soon." He stepped closer. His hand brushed hers, but his voice was low. "You've been different," he said. "I'm just tired," she replied. He studied her, eyes narrowing. Then he leaned in, pushing a hand into her hair with an intensity that made her flinch. "You smell like coffee and someone else's cologne," he whispered. She pulled away. "Ryan." He clenched his jaw. "Don't lie to me again, Leah." 2 customers walked in just then. Ryan forced a smile and walked out as if nothing happened, leaving Amelia rattled. She watched him go, feeling both guilty and trapped. That night, she typed a message to Dr. Parsons. "I think he knows something's wrong." The professor replied within a minute. "Meet me tomorrow. I need to see you." Amelia felt a flicker of relief and a dangerous spark of excitement. She pressed her phone to her chest like it was a heartbeat. The next evening, she worked the late shift again. The cafe was nearly empty. She cleaned the espresso machine slowly, savoring the solitude. Her phone buzzed, a message from her roommate asking when she'd be back. She typed, "Heading back now, save me some wine." She didn't see the figure waiting outside the cafe, in the shadows, watching everything. Amelia dreamt of water that night. Dark water, pulling her down slowly. She woke just before her alarm, breathless, throat dry. For a moment she didn't remember where she was. Then she heard the faint hum of campus outside her dorm window and remembered everything. Elliot wanted to meet. She skipped her morning class, pulled on a soft white sweater, one that made her look gentle, innocent, untouchable. She walked across campus as if she were floating. Halfway there, she caught her reflection in a window, cheeks flushed, eyes too bright, and wondered if other people could see the hunger she was trying so hard to hide. Parsons' office was quiet, sunlight filtering in through blinds. He stood when she entered, closing the door behind her with a soft click. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. "You shouldn't have come here," he said, voice tight, but he stepped closer anyway. "You told me to," she whispered. Their eyes locked. He pressed a hand to her cheek, thumb grazing the corner of her mouth. His voice was low, raw. "You're all I think about." Her breath hitched. She leaned into his touch like it was the only thing keeping her upright. He didn't kiss her, not yet, but the space between them felt thin enough to shatter. "You said it would stop," she whispered. "I can't stop," he breathed. She looked up at him, heart pounding in her ears like thunder. The moment stretched, too dangerous, too intimate. He pulled back first, swallowing hard. His hands trembled slightly. "If anyone finds out," he said, "they'll destroy both of us." Amelia stepped back too, as if waking from a spell. She nodded slowly. She felt both giddy and sick. As she left the office, she caught sight of someone down the hall. A woman with auburn hair and a long black coat, staring straight at her. Joanna. For a split second, their eyes met. Amelia felt a jolt of cold panic. Then the woman turned and walked away without a word. Amelia hurried down the stairs, her pulse hammering. She didn't look back. Joanna Parsons had not slept. She'd spent the night pacing the living room, watching the door, waiting for Elliot to come home. When he finally entered at 3 a.m., smelling of whiskey and guilt, she didn't speak. She just watched him with a silence that frightened even him. The next day, when she saw Amelia leaving his office, something inside Joanna splintered. Not just jealousy, something darker, more primal. She thought of all the quiet sacrifices she'd made for him over the years. How invisible she'd become. And this girl, this pretty little student, had somehow resurrected something in him that she hadn't been able to reach in years. Joanna gripped her phone so hard her knuckles whitened. She could feel it, the storm building behind her ribs. And for the first time in her life, she didn't try to stop it. Ryan hadn't shown up to class for 2 days. He sat in his apartment staring at the same text thread on his phone. Amelia had been distant. Short replies. Always busy. He felt it, like a bruise beneath the skin. He scrolled further back in their messages, to the nights when she called him baby, sent pictures, said she loved him. She felt far away now. He slammed his fist against the wall, tears burning his eyes. He texted her again. "If you're lying to me, I swear to God this won't end well." He watched the message say, "Delivered." No reply. Somewhere in his chest, something snapped. That night, Elliot texted Amelia, "I need to see you." Same place. She knew what that meant. Behind the cafe, after hours, in the parking lot that smelled of pine and spilled espresso. She didn't respond, but she felt it, the electric pull. At 9:15 p.m., she served the last cup, wiped the counters, hands shaking slightly. She looked out the window. She saw his car waiting across the road, engine off, headlights dim. She turned off the lights inside the cafe and stepped out the back door. He was already walking toward her. The way he looked at her made her feel both powerful and destroyed. They didn't speak at first. He cupped her face in his hands and kissed her, not gentle. Her back hit the wall. She tasted his fear in the way his lips moved against hers. For a moment, nothing else existed. Not campus, not school, not Ryan, not his wife. Just heat, breath, skin. He pulled away first, breathing hard. "I want to leave her," he said. "I mean it." Amelia stared up at him, eyes glazed. "Do you mean it?" she whispered. "Or do you just want me?" He pressed his forehead to hers like he needed her to keep standing. "Both." She swallowed hard. Somewhere deep inside, she was terrified of how much she wanted him to choose her. Across the street, hidden by a tree, Joanna watched them. She saw her husband's hands tangled in Amelia's hair. She saw the girl's lips parted against his. The sound that came out of Joanna was somewhere between a gasp and a sob. A wild, broken thing. She watched until Amelia went back inside. She watched until Elliot drove off. And then she followed the girl home. The next morning, Amelia found a note slipped under her dorm door. "You don't know what he's capable of. But I do." No signature. Just that. She stared at it for a long time. Her hands shook. She deleted Dr. Parsons' number from her phone. She blocked him. She didn't text back. She tried to cut herself free, terrified of where this was heading. That night she looked at herself in the bathroom mirror and whispered, "Stop, before everything goes wrong." But it was already too late. Elliot tried calling. 11 times. Voicemail after voicemail, "Please talk to me." Joanna watched him from the kitchen doorway, lips pressed together. She said nothing. Ryan walked past Moonlit Cafe twice that day, fists clenched, eyes red. He thought about going inside, making a scene, forcing the truth out of her. But he waited. Amelia worked her shift silently, barely speaking. Customers noticed the change. One said she looked like a ghost in a waitress apron. She smiled politely, but her hands trembled when she poured steamed milk. That evening, the eve before her disappearance, she wrote a final journal entry. "I think someone is watching me. I keep seeing figures outside the cafe. I keep expecting Ryan or her to show up. I dreamed my name was carved into the woods. I dreamed I was already dead, and everyone kept drinking coffee like nothing happened." She put the journal under her pillow, brushed her hair, and got ready for another shift. Amelia tried to focus on the hiss of the espresso machine, the clink of cups, the steady rhythm of work, anything to keep her from feeling the storm building around her. The cafe felt too quiet. It was almost closing time, and something in the air felt wrong, like the pressure before a thunderstorm. Her phone buzzed again. "Ryan, where are you right now? Are you with him?" She didn't answer. She couldn't. She tossed the phone in her bag. Her heart thudded painfully in her chest. A customer leaned over and smiled at her awkwardly. "You okay, sweetheart?" "Just tired," she murmured. She wiped the counter slowly, delaying the moment she had to walk outside. She didn't want to see shadows. She didn't want to see anyone. She wanted to go home, shower, sleep, and dream of something quiet. At 9:45 p.m. she closed up the cafe. The night outside was cold, too cold for late October. She pulled her coat tight around her. Forest air and streetlights flickering. Tires rolling somewhere in the distance. The world felt enormous and empty. She texted her roommate, "Heading back now, save me some wine." She locked the door, stepped into the dim parking lot, and stopped. Ryan was leaning against her car. He looked exhausted, hollow-eyed, hair messy like he'd been running his hands through it all day. "You ignoring me now?" he asked, voice low, almost calm, too calm. "Ryan, it's late," she said, trying not to let her voice shake. "Yeah," he said, stepping closer. "Late for who, Amelia? Late for me? Too late for us." She could smell alcohol on his breath, not much, just enough to make his eyes glassy. "I need space," she said quietly. He laughed. A broken sound. Space for what? Space for him? He grabbed her arm. "What did you give him, huh? What did he do that I didn't?" "Let go," she whispered, yanking her arm free. Something flashed in his eyes, rage, confusion, heartbreak. He stepped forward again. Suddenly, headlights washed over them, a car pulling into the parking lot. Ryan turned. Amelia froze. The car door opened. It was Joanna. Joanna stepped out slowly, eyes locked on Amelia. She looked calm, eerily calm, but her hands were shaking. Ryan frowned. "Who the hell are you?" Joanna didn't look at him. She walked straight toward Amelia like she wasn't even aware of Ryan's existence. "I warned you," Joanna said softly. "I told you." Ryan looked between them, startled. "What is this?" Amelia's voice trembled. "Please, both of you, just stop." Joanna's eyes were wet, but her voice was cold. "You destroyed my life." Ryan blinked, realization blooming across his face. "Wait, you're the wife." Joanna didn't even acknowledge him. She took another step forward, tears sliding down her face. "What did he tell you? That he loved you? That he was going to leave me? You think you're special?" "He told me those same things once." Amelia's breathing was shallow. "Please go home." "I never meant." "Shut up," Joanna snapped. She wiped her cheek with the back of her hand. "He was the only thing I had left." Ryan stepped in front of Amelia suddenly, as if guarding her. "Back off," he growled. Joanna stared at him with disgust. "You think you're protecting her? You're just a boy." He chose her because she's young, stupid, easy. Ryan's jaw clenched. "Watch your mouth." "Ryan," Amelia begged, pulling him back. "Please, let me handle this." Joanna's eyes blazed. "Handle it? You can't handle what's coming." She stepped forward and shoved Amelia with both hands. Amelia stumbled but caught herself. Ryan moved faster. He pushed Joanna back. "Don't touch her." Joanna stumbled, but then something in her snapped. She lunged forward again, swinging wildly. Amelia stepped back, tripped, her foot caught on the curb. Her body twisted. She fell backward. There was a sound, a sickening crack as her head hit the pavement. Everything stopped. Ryan stared, frozen. Joanna's mouth fell open. Amelia lay still on the ground, eyes half open, a thin line of blood trickling from the back of her head. Ryan knelt beside her, shaking. "Amelia! Amelia! Wake up!" His voice cracked. He pressed his hand to her cheek. No response. Joanna covered her mouth, a guttural sob ripping from her throat. I didn't mean." Ryan looked up at her, horror and fury contorting his face. "You killed her." Joanna staggered backward, whispering, "She's just unconscious. She'll wake up. She'll wake up." Ryan pulled out his phone, dialing, but Joanna slammed his hand, knocking the phone across the pavement. "And oh," she screamed. Tears streamed down her face. "If they find out, he'll leave me forever. This can't happen." Ryan shoved her to the ground and ran toward his phone, but she lunged forward, grabbed a broken bottle by a trash bin, holding it up like a weapon. "Don't you dare call anyone." He froze. For a long moment, the two of them stared at each other, trembling, crying, breathing in jagged gasps. Finally, Ryan looked down at Amelia, and his voice fell to a whisper of defeat. "She's gone." He backed away slowly, staggering, hands shaking. Joanna watched him run into the night like a hunted animal, disappearing into the dark without another word. She turned back to Amelia, the girl's skin already cooling, the blood beginning to congeal in her hair. Joanna's breaths came shallow and fast. She dragged Amelia's body to her car, sobbing uncontrollably, whispering over and over, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." It took her nearly an hour to drive to Riverside Trail. The woods were cold and dead silent. She carried Amelia's limp body off the path, laid her under fallen leaves. Her fingers trembled as she covered the girl's face with a sweater. She whispered, "He'll never know. He'll never know." 3 days passed. Ryan never went to police. He vanished into his own guilt and madness, believing he'd go to prison if he spoke a word. Dr. Parsons filed a missing persons report, barely holding himself together. Joanna sat in silence at home, staring at her bloody coat hidden in a trash bag under the sink. She heard Elliot cry in the shower at night when he thought she was asleep. And on the third day, she walked into the police station. Her confession came out in broken sentences between sobs. She said she pushed Amelia. Said she hit her head. Said she buried her. Said she lost her mind. The detective stared at her like he couldn't believe what he was hearing. She told them everything. Except one thing, that for a moment, when she saw Amelia lying still, a tiny part of her felt relieved. Amelia's body was found exactly where Joanna described. Ryan was located days later, sitting alone in his car on a mountain road, his knuckles still bloody and his eyes vacant. He was never charged. Lack of evidence and Joanna's full confession absolved him. Dr. Parsons resigned and vanished from the public eye. People said he moved out of state, haunted by the girl he claimed to love, the girl whose life he ruined without ever lifting a hand. Joanna Parsons was sentenced to 9 years for manslaughter. In court she said only 3 words before they took her away: "I loved him." But the town never forgot Amelia. Her dorm desk was left untouched for weeks with candles and flowers and photographs. A small shrine to a girl who loved too deeply and tried too hard to belong inside someone else's story. Amelia wasn't killed by only one person. She was killed by all of them, by Ryan's anger, Elliot's selfishness, Joanna's jealousy, and her own hunger for something that felt real. She was killed by passion.